inspiring badass quotes that will challenge, empower, and redefine you. What if I told you that the most powerful force in your life isn't outside of you but within you? That the strength you seek, the courage you admire, and the wisdom you crave are already there, waiting to be awakened. Imagine standing in the middle of chaos, arguments, failures, heartbreaks, and instead of crumbling, you feel nothing but unshakable calm. Can you picture that? We're diving into the realm of quotes that will not only inspire you but shake you to your core, forcing you to redefine who you are and what you stand for. Each quote is a portal, a doorway to a new perspective. But remember, a quote is only as powerful as the meaning you extract and the actions you take. Here's a thought to start. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This quote by Marcus Aurelius is like a torch in the dark for those of us stumbling through life's uncertainties. How often do we try to control the uncontrollable? The weather, the opinions of others, the past, all of it out of our hands. Yet we exhaust ourselves wrestling with it. Marcus tells us to stop, to look inward. The question is, why do we resist that? Let's break this down. Imagine a situation where you've been publicly criticized. Maybe your work was rejected, or someone questioned your integrity. You feel anger rising, maybe shame or even despair. In that moment, pause. Ask yourself, what is within my control? Your emotions are yours. Your response is yours. But their words, their opinions, completely beyond your grasp. The irony is that the more you try to control what others think, the less control you have over yourself. But what happens when you stop trying? Here's where another quote hits like a lightning bolt. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus gives us this timeless gem, reminding us that events are neutral. It's our interpretation that gives them power. Think about it, two people can face the same storm, but one sees destruction while the other sees renewal. Which perspective do you choose? This isn't just philosophy, it's a survival mechanism. Take Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist, who found meaning even in the depths of despair. He once said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." If Frankl could find strength in a concentration camp, what excuse do we have in our daily struggles? So, here's your challenge. The next time life throws something unbearable your way, pause and ask, what's the story I'm telling myself? Is it serving me, or am I its prisoner? But let's not stop at resilience. Let's talk about ambition, about power. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. This wisdom from Laozi isn't just poetic. It's a roadmap to greatness. Think about the last time you set a goal and fell short. Was it because the world conspired against you, or because your discipline faltered? The truth stings, doesn't it? Here's the kicker. Conquering yourself is harder than conquering the world. Why? Because the world doesn't follow you home, but your habits, your doubts, your fears, they're with you in the quiet moments. To overcome them, you need courage, not the kind that faces enemies, but the kind that faces truth. I want you to picture this, a Spartan warrior preparing for battle. They don't waste time complaining about the size of the enemy or the harshness of the terrain. They train their mind and body to endure, to adapt, to thrive. Are you training for your battles, or are you merely reacting? Here's another punch to the gut. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca delivers this one like a cold splash of water. Think about how many times you've rehearsed disasters in your mind, only to find that reality wasn't half as bad. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we allow fear to rob us of peace? Let me tell you a story. There was a man who feared public speaking. For years, he avoided opportunities, convinced he would fail. One day, he decided to face his fear. Standing before the audience, his heart raced, his hands trembled, but he pushed through. And you know what? The disaster he imagined never came. Instead, he found applause, and more importantly, he found himself. What fears are holding you back? What imagined disasters are keeping you from stepping into your greatness? To live fully, we must face these fears head-on. Do what you fear, and fear disappears. It's a simple formula, but its execution is profound. Let me leave you with one final thought before we move forward. If you could live without fear, how would your life change? What risks would you take? What dreams would you chase? And who would you become? The art of rebellion. How to break free and become unstoppable. What if the chains holding you back weren't external, but ones you forged yourself? We often think of rebellion as something outward, a fight against systems, authority, or expectations. But the most profound rebellion is internal. It's the moment you choose to challenge your own limitations, to defy your self-imposed boundaries. Here's a quote that sets the stage. The only way to deal with this world unfree is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. Jean-Paul Sartre's words demand a hard truth. The world may try to define you, but it's your responsibility to rise above. The question is, how do you get there? Freedom begins with awareness. Think about how much of your life is spent living on autopilot, following routines, chasing approval, fearing failure. Now ask yourself, who is really in control? Here's a story to shift your perspective. A young man worked tirelessly in a corporate job he hated. He told himself it was for security, for stability, for success. But deep down, he knew the truth. He was terrified of stepping into the unknown. One day, he came across the quote, "Man is condemned to be free." Sartre's words hit him like a thunderclap. Condemned to be free? It was as if he'd been running from his own shadow. He realized that freedom wasn't something to achieve, it was something he already had. The real question was what he would do with it. So, what are you doing with your freedom? Are you using it to live authentically? Or are you trading it for comfort and conformity? Let's go deeper. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson captures the essence of rebellion. It's not about fighting others. It's about staying true to yourself in a world full of distractions. Think about the pressures you face every day, the expectations of society, family, or even your inner critic. They all whisper, "Be this, not that. Do this, not that." The rebellion starts when you listen to a different voice, the one that says, "This is who I am," unapologetically. But let's not sugarcoat it. Living authentically is a battle. People will judge you, misunderstand you, and sometimes even reject you. But here's the twist. Their judgment has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. What other people think of you is none of your business, says RuPaul. It's a liberating thought, isn't it? Now, let's talk about failure. Rebellion isn't just about rejecting the norms. It's about embracing the risks that come with it. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently, said Henry Ford. But do you believe that? Or does the fear of failure keep you playing small? Think of Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he famously replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." What if you could see your failures not as dead ends, but as stepping stones? Here's a challenge. The next time you fail, don't hide from it. Instead, ask yourself, what did I learn? How will this failure shape my next attempt? But rebellion isn't just about the big moments. It's in the small, everyday decisions that define your life. Discipline equals freedom, says Jocko Willink, a former Navy SEAL. The paradox is clear. True freedom comes from structure, from having the discipline to choose what matters most and ignore the noise. Consider your habits. Are they serving you, or are they chains disguised as comfort? The truth is, every choice you make, what you eat, how you spend your time, who you surround yourself with, is either building your freedom or eroding it. Here's another layer to rebellion: letting go. You only lose what you cling to, said Buddha. The more tightly you grip something, be it a grudge, a fear, or even a dream, the more power it has over you. Letting go isn't weakness, it's strength. The saying, "I trust myself enough to release what no longer serves me." Think of it this way. If you're holding onto a rope that's burning your hands, the only way to stop the pain is to let go. What are you clinging to that's hurting you? What would your life look like if you released it? Let's bring this rebellion full circle with a quote from Nietzsche. "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." Your rebellion isn't just for the sake of rebellion. It's for something greater. It's for your why. What drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? If your answer feels shallow or uncertain, that's okay. The journey to finding your why is part of the rebellion. And when you find it, you become unstoppable. You become the person who walks into the storm and says, "I am the storm." You become the person who turns obstacles into opportunities, failures into lessons, and judgments into background noise. Let me ask you this: what would it feel like to live without fear, without hesitation, and with absolute purpose? Can you imagine the weight that would lift from your shoulders? The energy it would unleash? The final stand, becoming the hero of your own story. Imagine your life as a story, with you as its hero. Every hero faces trials, battles inner demons, and strives to overcome impossible odds. But here's the truth we often forget. No one writes your story but you. The question is, what kind of hero are you becoming? The journey to heroism begins with a choice, one encapsulated by this powerful quote: "Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear." This insight, attributed to Ambrose Redmoon, reshapes the narrative of bravery. Courage isn't about feeling invincible. It's about feeling the fear and acting anyway. Think about a moment when fear held you back. Maybe it was the fear of failure, rejection, or simply the unknown. Now ask yourself, what did that fear cost you? What opportunities did you miss because you let it rule you? The hero of your story doesn't let fear dictate their path. They face it head-on, step by step. Let's take this deeper. Joseph Campbell, in his famous hero's journey, highlights a crucial stage: the call to adventure. In every great story, the hero starts as an ordinary person, often reluctant to leave their comfort zone. But the call comes a challenge, a crisis, or an opportunity that demands growth. Here's the kicker: most people refuse the call. They choose safety over greatness. Are you answering your call to adventure, or are you still waiting for the perfect time? Let me tell you a secret. There is no perfect time. The journey begins when you decide it does. Another quote to guide you: "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." Campbell's words are a stark reminder that the greatest rewards lie beyond our fears. The cave could be anything: a difficult conversation, a bold career move, or even confronting your own flaws. What cave are you avoiding? And what treasure might be waiting for you on the other side? Let's talk about obstacles. Every hero faces them. But here's the twist: obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. As Ryan Holiday puts it in his book, "The obstacle is the way." The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Take a moment to reframe your challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me? How can this make me stronger?" The shift in perspective is where the hero rises. But being a hero isn't just about conquering external challenges. It's about mastering your inner world. "The man who has no inner life is a slave to his surroundings," said Henri Frédéric Amiel. To become the hero of your story, you must cultivate a rich inner life, a fortress of clarity, discipline, and purpose that no external force can breach. How do you build this fortress? Start with self-awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts, your habits, and the stories you tell yourself. Are they empowering you or holding you back? Let me ask you a deep question. If you stripped away every excuse, every self-doubt, and every fear, what would you be capable of? What would you create, achieve, or become? This is where another quote comes in like a thunderclap. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Confucius reminds us that failure isn't the enemy. Giving up is. Falling is inevitable, but rising is a choice. The question is, will you make it? Let's talk about legacy. Every hero leaves one, but it's not about fame or fortune. It's about impact. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. Said Ralph Waldo Emerson, "What difference are you making? How will the world be better because you were here?" These aren't easy questions, but they're the ones that matter most. And finally, the hero's story ends not with a victory parade, but with transformation. The real prize isn't the treasure or the accolades. It's who you become along the way. As Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So, let me leave you with this. If you were the hero of your story, what bold action would you take today? What fear would you face? What dream would you chase? And what legacy would you begin to build? Your story isn't written yet. The pen is in your hand. Will you write a tale of courage, growth, and transformation? Or will you let fear and doubt hold the pen? The choice is yours. Now go, face the storm, chase the dream, and be the hero you were always meant to be.